The Chinese University of Hong Kong fires its vice president. John Lee says the country attaches great importance to aviation development in the SAR as he welcomes the visit of 2 Chinese-made passenger jets. And day 2 activities of President Xi Jinping's visit to Vietnam. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The Governing Council of the Chinese University of Hong Kong has fired its vice president, saying it no longer has faith in his ability and willingness to support the institution's work. While Secretary for Education Christine Choi says the government respects CUHK's decision, a former council member says the dismissal was hastily made and could undermine the institution's future development. Jackie Lin reports.
It's the very first meeting convened after the latest council revamp of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. In a shocking move, the Governing Council passed a motion to sack Eric Ng, Vice President and University Secretary of CUHK, with immediate effect.
The Council no longer has confidence in Mr. Ng's ability or willingness to support the work of the Council in a way that is expected of a senior officer in that position, in line with good governance principles.
Eric Ng is responsible for liaising with external parties and promoting for the university, as well as managing the institution's 8 administrative departments. He will be paid cash in lieu of the requisite notice period. Provost Alan Chan will be the acting vice president until a successor is named. Deputy University Secretary Amelia Wang, meanwhile, was appointed to take on Ng's secretary role until the end of next year. When asked exactly what prompted the termination of Eric Ng's employment contract, while declining to reveal more details, Council Chairman John Chai said Ng did 2 things that are noteworthy. First, Ng was said to have bypassed the council in announcing the meeting agenda. And second, he signed a petition organized by alumni against the overhaul of the university's governing council. Chai said they doubted whether Ng could hold fast to the principle of neutrality. Chai added the dismissal was decided on a simple majority vote. Secretary for Education Christine Choi said the Education Bureau was informed of the Council's latest resolution and respects the decision made. She added the government will continue to support the university's efforts to improve its governance. Anders Lam Wai Hong, a former council member representing the CUHK alumni, said the dismissal lacked procedural justice. Apart from the absence of proper investigations taken before the decision, he said the lack of transparency will undermine the credibility of the institution. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Chief Executive John Lee said the country attaches great importance to aviation development in the SAR. Lee made the remark today at a welcoming ceremony for the 2 mainland homegrown commercial planes, which arrived in the city on Tuesday. Mimo Singhai reports.
This aircraft is C919, and this is ARJ-21. A ceremony was held on the tarmac of Hong Kong International Airport to welcome the arrival of the 2 Chinese-made planes. In his speech, Chief Executive John Lee praised aviation development in the mainland and its breakthrough homegrown planes. The CE added the SAR also contributed to the development of the 2 aircraft. Hong Kong participated in the examination and verification process, such as cabin crew training, he said. More than 40 mainland aviation representatives also visited the city. The city's leader said the visits emphasized the importance given by this country to local aviation development. He then went inside C919 and sat in the pilot's seat. The C919 carried out its maiden flight in May 2017 before delivering its first airframe to China Eastern Airlines in December 2022. It started providing commercial flight services in May. The maximum capacity for the C919 is 192 passengers. The ARJ-21, meanwhile, began its commercial flight operations earlier in 2016. It can allow a maximum of 97 passengers on board each flight. The aircraft has a distinctive feature, a supercritical wing. The jet also entered the overseas market last year. Residents will be able to watch a fly past of the C919 over Victoria Harbour on Saturday before the 2 jets depart Hong Kong on the following day. Mims 9, TVB News.
President Xi Jinping, while visiting Vietnam, told leaders in Hanoi he sees a future community between the two nations with stronger cooperation and a shared future. Vietnam has good relations with China, but also strong diplomatic ties with the United States. David Garrett reports.
President Xi Jinping follows behind two soldiers dressed in white, carrying a wreath to be placed at the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum. Xi paid tribute to the founder of Communist Vietnam. This was the second and final day of the state visit. The last time Xi visited Vietnam was in 2017. This ceremony followed the announcement of dozens of deals on Tuesday, including improving rail links between the neighbours. Xi met with the chairman of the National Assembly of Vietnam. He spoke of positive signals between the countries. There have been some disagreements over the South China Sea, but the economic relationship between the two nations is strong. China's leader told Vuong Dinh Hue of a community with a shared future which could promote the upgrading of China-Vietnam relations. Xi praised the vigour and vitality of Vietnam's economy. Next on Xi's agenda was a conversation with the Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh. Both hailed their decision to strengthen ties. Vietnam, a strategic manufacturing hub, also has a robust diplomatic relationship with the USA and Japan.
The Vietnam Communist Party and the government of Vietnam pay very high attention to the cooperation and friendship to China. And I hope the visit will be an important milestone for further development, for cooperation, for friendship, for peaceful development in Southeast Asia.
Xi also met Vietnam President Von Van Thiong as the countries marked 15 years of a strategic and cooperative partnership. Xi noted this is his final overseas trip of 2023. David Garrett, TVB News.
A ceremony was held in Nanjing this morning to commemorate the 86th anniversary of the Nanjing massacre. At 10 a.m., the ceremony began. An alarm bell rang out as the public paid a 1-minute tribute to victims of the massacre. In Hong Kong, a ceremony was held at the central government offices. Chief Executive John Lee attended the memorial along with several government officials. The Nanjing massacre occurred in 1937 during the Sino-Japanese War. An estimated 300,000 people were murdered by the Japanese Imperial Army after their invasion of Nanjing. Israel said it would punish soldiers who were shown singing and chanting racist slogans and rummaging through homes in Gaza. A video posted on social media shows dozens of soldiers dancing in a circle, reportedly in Gaza, and singing a song including the words, quote, "I am coming to conquer Gaza," unquote. One soldier was also seen going through shelves in what is reportedly a private home and throwing items on the floor. Another 2 soldiers are shown trying to burn food and supplies in the back of a truck. Israel Defense Forces spokesman Daniel Hagari said the behavior does not reflect IDF values and that disciplinary action will be taken. With the United Nations COP28 climate summit extending into an extra day, delegates on Wednesday proposed and adopted a compromise resolution related to the desire to eliminate fossil fuels. Unlike Tuesday's proposal, the new wording doesn't specifically use the language of calling for a, quote, phase out of fossil fuels, which more than 100 nations had pleaded for. Instead, it calls for, quote, transitioning away from fossil fuels in energy systems in a just, orderly, and equitable manner, accelerating action in this critical decade, unquote. The goal is to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Oil-producing OPEC countries wanted the wording to focus on emissions rather than a move away from fossil fuels. UAE's COP28 President Sultan Al Jaber hailed the breakthrough, while U.S. climate envoy John Kerry said he would have preferred stronger language.
We have traveled a long road together in a short amount of time. Over the last 2 weeks, we have worked very hard to secure a better future for our people and our planet. We should be proud of our historic achievement.
The decision supported by all nations of the world, calls for transitioning away from fossil fuels in energy systems so as to achieve net zero by 2050. That is clear. And we would have liked, clearly, many people here would have liked clearer language about the need to begin peaking and reducing fossil fuels in this critical decade. But we know this was a compromise between many parties.
Still ahead, UK lawmakers vote in favor of the Rwanda migration bill. China protests against David Cameron's meeting with Jimmy Lai's son. And Ocean Park, Hong Kong, turns a profit of $118 million. Welcome back to TVB News. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak survived a potentially damaging vote as his reworked plan to send migrants to Rwanda was passed by a majority of 43 in the House of Commons. Rebels in his own party who think the legislation is too weak threatened to kill the bill. Some abstained, but enough Conservatives did vote to push through the leader's key immigration policy.
The noes to the left, 269.
Sunak spent the day scrambling for support. He flew back a minister from the COP28 climate summit in Dubai to secure that vote. Some predicted defeat could have spelled the end of Sunak's leadership. No British government has lost a second reading since 1986. The bill seeks to overcome a Supreme Court ruling that sending migrants to Rwanda is unlawful because the African country is not a safe third country. But there will be further debates and possible amendments which could create problems for Sunak in the future. China has strongly condemned the UK's interference in Hong Kong affairs after the son of jailed media mogul and pro-democracy activist Jimmy Lai met with Britain's Foreign Secretary on Tuesday. Sebastian Lai said he hoped the meeting with David Cameron would raise the case's profile and add to international pressure on the Hong Kong SAR government. Jimmy Lai faces trial next week over accusations that he violated the national security law. The 76-year-old has been in detention since 2020 over other offenses. He faces life in prison if convicted of the national security charges. And Ocean Park today announced a profit of $118 million for the 2022-23 fiscal year. The latest earning results mean the theme park has overturned losses from the previous 2 years. The number of visitors to Ocean Park also saw an increase. Up until June, the end of Ocean Park's fiscal year, 2.4 million people had visited the leisure park and its water world. Ocean Park Chairman Paolo Pong said they will invest more resources towards its conservation work in the future. In terms of ticket prices, he said Ocean Park has sufficient funds and has no plans to increase entry fees. Train passengers will be able to use credit cards to pay MTR fares at some of the entry and exit gates starting from the 23rd of the month. This gate machine has already been installed with a credit card payment system. The railway company said initially only Visa cards would be accepted. This payment option will be extended to more credit cards in the third quarter of next year. Meanwhile, the MTR has reminded the public to beware of a fraudulent post on social media claiming that the railway company is giving out complimentary annual passes. The post asks people to scan a QR code to get the free pass. The MTR denied there is any plan to issue such passes, adding it has filed a report with the police. That is the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.